60 years ago this year, a young couple came to the United States from the island of Cuba with nothing but hopes of a better life. They spoke no English. The first words the husband ever learned were, "I'm looking for a job." They had little education. They grew up poor. They knew no one, and they had no money. Less than 10 years after they arrived, after a lot of struggle and hard work, they bought their first home. And years would go by, and they would continue to work hard, and they were so optimistic about the future and the promise of America, and then in their 40s, they decided to have more children. I was one of those children. And my parents, who obviously are who I'm talking about, were so optimistic about the future that a year and a half later, into their 40s, they had a second child, my younger sister. And the reason why I share that with you is because while that is my story, that is our story. Whether your parents came from another country or have lived here for generations, each of us is but a generation or two removed from someone who made our future the purpose of their lives. This is known as the American dream. There's a universal dream of parents everywhere to leave their children better off than themselves. But there's one place on earth where that's been possible more than anywhere else on this planet, and that is this incredible country. That American dream was not automatic. It did not happen on its own. It required each generation in our history to do its part. And throughout our history, each generation has faced great challenges. Now the time has come for this generation to do its part. And it arrives at a moment of incredible test. You see, after 8 years of Barack Obama, the American dream is in a lot of trouble. It's not dead, but it's in trouble. You know it in your own lives. We see it in our communities, and we see it across this country. And if the next president of the United States is Hillary Clinton, then the policies that have... I didn't think you would like her either, but I had to mention her. If the next president of the United States is Hillary Clinton, then the policies that have put the American dream in trouble will continue in place. Why was it even possible to begin with? The American dream is possible because this nation was founded on a spiritual principle, not on a political one. It was founded on the belief that our rights come from God. We believe in the right to life, for without life, no other rights matter. And that's why I so strongly and deeply believe that all human life is worthy of the protection of our laws. We believe in the God-given right to liberty, and that's why we embraced a limited federal government. Not a federal government that's involved in every aspect of our lives, but a limited federal government as limited by the Constitution. And we were founded on the God-given right to pursue happiness, which doesn't necessarily mean how many buildings have your name on it, or how much money you make, or how rich you are. Happiness is not just about how much money you make. Happiness, for my parents, was about being able to own a home in a safe and stable neighborhood, about being able to have a decent job and retire with dignity, and about the chance to leave their children better off than themselves. These are the foundations of our exceptionalism, and they are under assault because too many of our leaders in both parties have forgotten that the source of our greatness is our God-given rights. And that's why 5 years ago, against incredible odds, I was an underdog. I ran for the United States Senate against the sitting governor of Florida. He claimed to be a Republican. He claimed to be a conservative. He was very popular at 70%, and everyone said I couldn't win. But you see, when you come from where I come from, you're always an underdog. But you know that America is a nation of underdogs, and we ran and we won. Five years later, I chose to run for the presidency. I'm not running for re-election to the Senate. In January of next year, I will either be the President of the United States or I will be a private citizen. And I'm an underdog again. But I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote, because Idaho has the chance to restart this campaign across this country and to truly put on the map the hopes and dreams of millions of Americans that want us not just to win a primary, but understand that we give our party the best chance to beat Hillary Clinton in the general election. And let there be no doubt that I give us the best chance to win. Every poll says it. The Democrats know this. That's why they attack me more than any other Republican in this race. I promise you Hillary Clinton does not want to run against me. But I'm asking you to give me the chance, because I can't wait to run against her. I believe our campaign gives us the best chance to win. Not because, as in years past, they say, vote for so-and-so because they're more moderate and that's how you're going to win. No, I'm as conservative as anyone in this race. In fact, according to the National Journal, the most conservative senator in Washington, D.C. is your own Jim Risch, and he's endorsed me, and that's a pretty strong endorsement. And my conservatism did not start a year and a half ago. I have a 15-year record of public service of taking conservative ideas and turning them into conservative action. I did it as Speaker of the Florida House. We passed some of the best eminent domain laws in the country so that in Florida, private developers cannot take away private property and use it to build something like, for example, a hotel. In Florida, our schools have career academies and vocational training. We train young Americans to be welders and pipe fitters and plumbers and car technicians because we need more people trained in those skills, and that happened when I was Speaker. We balanced our budgets. We cut taxes. We shrunk the size of government. I've taken conservatism to the U.S. Senate. I led the effort, and we wiped out the Obamacare bailout fund. They were going to use your taxpayer money to bail out private insurance companies, and we stopped that in Washington, D.C. I brought accountability to the VA through the VA Accountability Act. Today, you can fire a senior executive at the VA that is not doing a good job because of the law that I passed. Today, an evil anti-Israel terrorist group, Hezbollah, is facing additional sanctions because of a law I passed. Today, U.S. foreign aid is helping deal with human trafficking around the world because of a law I passed. I am as conservative, or more so, than anyone left in this race. But I'm the conservative that can unify this party. We cannot win if we are divided against each other. We cannot win if we nominate someone that a third of our party rejects. We cannot win if we nominate someone that over half of our party rejects. We need someone that will unite our party, and you give me this nomination, and I will unite the Republican Party so we can win in November. But I won't just unite the Republican Party. We're going to grow it. We are going to take our conservative message to people that don't vote for us now. We took our conservative message just last night to the island of Puerto Rico, a place that votes for Democrats. And today, in the Puerto Rican primary, I got over 70% of the vote and all 23 delegates. And it proves what I've been saying. We don't have to be more moderate to win these elections. We have to be authentically conservative, but an optimistic conservatism. Not a nasty conservatism, not an angry conservatism, not a frustrated conservatism, a conservatism like Ronald Reagan's. A conservatism that says, yes, we have problems. Yes, we have challenges. But we are all Americans. And if we put conservative policies in place, our greatest days are always yet to come. That is the conservatism America needs now. That's the conservatism that will win in November. Should I wait for the plane to pass, or? Yes, ma'am. And if you elect me President of the United States, I want you to know exactly what I'm going to do. Number one, when you elect me President of the United States for the first time in 8 years, you are going to have a president that follows the Constitution of the United States of America. A president that defends your First Amendment right. Your First Amendment right not just to speak out, but your First Amendment right not just to believe anything you want. Your First Amendment right to live out the teachings of your faith in every aspect of your life without interference from government. You elect me President of the United States, and you will have a president that for the first time in 8 years defends your Second Amendment right to protect yourself and your family. You elect me President of the United States, and you will have a president that believes in a limited federal government. Not a government that owns most of states out west. A government that understands that the federal government is supposed to be limited. That most of the answers to our problems do not lie in government. They lie in our homes. They lie in our communities. They lie in our churches. And if there is a government solution, it is probably a state government solution. When I take the oath of office to protect and defend and uphold the Constitution, I will mean it. And I will prove it on my first day in office. Because as soon as I take the oath of office, I'm going straight to the Oval Office, and I will repeal every single one of Barack Obama's unconstitutional executive orders. For the first time in 8 years, you'll have a president that believes in the free enterprise system. I do, as the son of a bartender and a maid. I believe in free enterprise because my parents had jobs at hotels, because free enterprise works. Because America was a place where you could start a hotel and grow a hotel and hire people like my parents, and they were able to make a living and provide a better life for us. I love free enterprise, not because my parents were rich, because they weren't. I love free enterprise because it is the only economic system in the world where you can make poor people richer and you don't have to make rich people poorer. And you deserve to know what that means in real policies. And that's why I ask you to go on our website, marcorubio.com, and you will see I have a real plan to fix our tax code. I have a real plan to roll back federal regulations. I have a real plan to save Social Security and Medicare. Your next president better be honest with you. We need to save those programs. And if we do it now, we can do it in a way that doesn't hurt anyone who's on it now, like my mom. My mom is on Medicare and Social Security. I'm against anything that's bad for my mom. We can save it. I have a real plan to deal with the national debt. I have a real plan to fully utilize the energy resources that God has blessed this country with. And I have a real plan to deal with Obamacare. And it's a lot more than just the lines around the states. I have a real plan to repeal and replace Obamacare once and for all. When you elect me President of the United States, you will have a real commander-in-chief. Because the one we have right now is a weak commander-in-chief. There is a lunatic in North Korea with nuclear weapons. The Chinese government is taking over the South China Sea. Vladimir Putin is sowing instability in Europe and in the Middle East. Because of Barack Obama's deal with the Ayatollah of Iran, Iran is going to get $100 billion of sanctions relief. And radical Islamic terrorists are spreading all over the world. ISIS has affiliates in over a dozen countries. In the face of all these threats, Barack Obama, with the help of some Republicans, by the way, is gutting our military. We will soon have the smallest army since the end of World War II. We will soon have the smallest Navy in a century. And we will soon have the smallest Air Force in our history. Defense spending is not the reason why we have a debt. And that is why, when I'm President of the United States, we are going to undertake a Reagan-style rebuilding of the United States military. We do not want war. We want peace. Weakness is an enemy of peace. Radical Islamists are enemies of peace, and they need to be defeated. When I'm President of the United States, the best intelligence agencies in the world will find these terrorists, and the rebuilt military will destroy them. And if we capture them alive, they don't have the right to remain silent, and they're not coming to a jail in America. They're going to Guantanamo. When I'm President of the United States, we are going to stand up for our allies again. No ally has been more mistreated by Barack Obama than the state of Israel. Israel, the only pro-American, free enterprise, democracy in the Middle East. And this president has been terrible to them. We have a candidate for president now running as a Republican that says, I'm not taking sides when it comes to Israel. My friends, if you elect me president, we're taking sides. We're going to be on Israel's side. And I am going to prove it to you. I am going to prove it to you in my first day in office. Because as soon as I'm done repealing all the unconstitutional executive orders, I am going to cancel Barack Obama's deal with the Ayatollah of Iran. When I'm President of the United States, we're going to take care of our veterans. If you are a veteran, will you raise your hand so we can thank you? God bless you. God bless our veterans. As I told you, my parents had me in their 40s. But in their late teens and early 20s, they were married, and they had a son, my older brother, 21 years older than me. My brother's a veteran. From 1968 to 1971, he was in the 7th Special Forces as a Green Beret in the Army. But one day he jumped out of an airplane with a parachute on a training mission, with a parachute. And he landed wrong, and he knocked out his front teeth. And so every few years he has to go to the VA to get his claim filled. And it is a hassle beyond belief. They treat him like if they're doing him a favor instead of the other way around. And unfortunately, that's become too common. There are good people working at the VA. And then there are people that are not doing their jobs. And those people that are not doing their jobs, when I'm president, those people are going to be fired from their jobs at the VA. And our veterans that are here today, and my brother, when I'm President of the United States, if you like the VA, you can keep going to the VA, but you will be able to take your benefits to any hospital or any doctor that you want to go to. By the way, I mentioned this at our other stop in Idaho Falls. I was in Virginia a week ago tonight, and on the news was the story about 3 police officers that had been killed. One of them, 3 police officers that had been shot, I apologize. One of them was a veteran. It reminds us that many of our veterans don't stop serving us when they come home. You go to any fire department, any police department in America, you're going to run into veterans. One of the police officers that was shot was a veteran. She was a Marine reservist. She was on her first day on the job, and she died. And so I wanted to take a moment to thank our police officers and our firefighters for everything they do for us. And when I'm president of the United States, for the first time in 8 years, you will have a president that doesn't seek to divide us against each other. A president that will never ask you to hate another group of Americans so that you vote for me. Because if you want to be president of the United States, you have to love all the American people, even the ones that don't love you back. And so even those people that say nasty things about me, even those people that put ugly things about me up on Twitter, even those people that vote against me and protest against me, we're cutting their taxes too. I am going to be their president as well. I heard a couple people booing, like, you want me not to cut their taxes? I gotta cut their taxes. Cutting everyone's taxes. Even if they don't want a tax cut, they're getting it. Where's the name of that gentleman?
Jeremy Piscott. Or no, Jeremy, it's Eli.
Eli. Is Eli here?
Eli Piscott.
Eli, how old are you, Eli? 18 years old.
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, Eli turned 18, and he rushed down to get your voter registration so you could vote in this election. Hopefully to vote for me. Let me tell you why I just embarrassed him that way. I hope I didn't embarrass you, Eli. Eli, you did too? Oh, you already did. Good, you already voted. If I win by 1 vote, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I guess thank you all very much in that. Eli, this election's about you. This election is about all of us, but it's really about the young people here. It always is, but this time more than ever. I want to leave you with this thought. This election is not just a normal election where you're choosing between political parties or between ideologies or even between names on a ballot. This election is about our identity as a nation and as a people. I open this up by talking about our identity. For over 2 centuries, this has been an exceptional country. There's never been anything like America. It's easy to take that for granted when, like me, I've never lived anywhere else. I've never lived in another country. I've traveled to other countries, but I've never lived in another country. But when you're raised by people that know what life is like in another country, they know how special America is. My parents reminded me of that all the time. My parents had a choice to make, by the way. I remember growing up, we lived in Las Vegas for a number of years, and in the early 80s, they're either from there or they made a lot of money there. Or they got married by Elvis there, I don't know, but my parents, there wasn't a lot for kids to do in Las Vegas in the early 1980s. So one of the things my parents would do for fun, they thought it was fun, we thought it was okay. We would drive into this nice neighborhood that had nice houses. One of the houses was Liberace's. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. My parents had a choice. My parents could have said to us, you see these nice houses? The reason why these people live in such nice houses is because they did something wrong, or because they're so successful is the reason why we don't have as much money. Do you know what my parents taught us instead? What they taught us instead was, you shouldn't judge yourself by how much money you make. If you choose to go into the armed forces, if you choose to go into ministry, if you choose to go into some other profession, be a nurse, a teacher, you may not be rich, but you'll be happy and successful. But I want you to understand, if that's what you want, if what you want is to be successful, whether it's money or anything else, you live in the one place on earth where it doesn't matter that your mom is a maid, and it doesn't matter that your dad is a bartender. You live in the one place on earth where you can be anything your talent and your work will allow you to be. My parents instilled that in us from a young age. And I grew up in the era of Reagan. And Reagan reinforced that every day as president. I don't think it's a coincidence that there are so many people in their 30s, 40s, and early 50s in the Republican Party, conservative leaders nationally. Because we're the children of the Reagan Revolution. We grew up in an era where we had a great leader that was putting conservative principles into action in an optimistic way. Look at the Democrats. Who is the young, up-and-coming Democrat in America? Bernie Sanders. This morning we got the news that Nancy Reagan had passed away. God bless her. In 2011, I was invited to speak at the Reagan Library. We had a chance to meet her. We had a chance to have dinner with her. It was an extraordinary experience. She told us a lot of stories about President Reagan. One of them really put me on the spot because she said, you know, Ronnie sent flowers to my mother every year on her birthday, on Nancy's birthday, to thank her for having me. And as you can imagine, my wife Jeanette turned to me and looked at me like, you're no Ronald Reagan, you know. He's an amazing man. But let me tell you why Ronald Reagan, I think, created a generation of conservatives. Ronald Reagan inherited a very difficult time 36 years ago. We had a bad president then too. We had hostages in Iran. The American economy was flattened out. We seemed weaker than ever. The Soviet Union seemed more powerful. We seemed like we were in decline. A time not unlike this one. Reagan understood that, and he was very realistic about our challenges. But every single time that Reagan had a chance, he spoke about the incredible future that awaited us if only we did what needed to be done. As conservatives, we have to make that choice again. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to be frustrated at the direction of our country. You should allow that to motivate you to take action. Because you are frustrated, you should vote. Because you are frustrated, you should care about the people running for office. Allow that frustration to motivate you, but do not allow it to define you. Do not allow it to define us. Conservatism is not about anger. It is at its core about optimism. Because it is about the belief that if we limit our government again, if we embrace free enterprise, if we return to strong traditional values of strong families, strong homes, and strong parents, if we re-embrace a strong national security, if we do what needs to be done, there is nothing Americans can't do. Nothing. My grandfather had a great story about that. My grandfather was born in 1899. There were no airplanes in the sky when he was born. And yet one night on a summer in 1969, he watched a man step foot on the moon. And you know what he said? Americans can do anything. Americans can do anything. We can do anything, but we have to do it now. We can't wait another 4 years. I'm telling you that if we nominate some of the other people that are still running, we're not going to win. And I know you might think to yourself, well, that's what you're saying because you're not them and you want me to vote for you. The polls tell you that. The Democrats will tell you that. And in the end, if we don't win, Hillary Clinton becomes president. And we will pay the price as a nation and as a people. But I want you to know the future that awaits us if we do what needs to be done. I want you to know the future that awaits us if in this election we win and we put in place the policies that I announced and more. Here's what awaits us. And here's what history will say of us. History will say that we lived in the early years of this new century in a very difficult time. The world was going crazy. The economy was rapidly changing. The jobs we once depended on were being replaced by machines or sent to other countries. We were scared. We were worried. And after 8 years of Barack Obama and one crazy election, we almost got it wrong. And then we remembered who we were. And then we remembered what America always was and what America is always destined to be. And like the generations that came before us, we confronted our challenges and we solved our problems and we embraced our opportunities. And when our work was done, these young Americans here today, they became the freest and the most prosperous Americans that ever lived. When our work was done, the American dream that changed our lives and changed the world, the American dream didn't just survive. It reached more people and changed more lives than ever before. When our work was done, the 21st century was better than the 20th century. It became a new American century. This is the incredible future that awaits us if we are willing to do what it takes right now in this election. Now, I know that this is not a role you have traditionally played in Idaho, but you're going to play it on Tuesday. You are going to play an important role in the direction of this campaign, and you're going to play an incredible role in the direction of my campaign. And that's why you have a chance here to truly shape this campaign and perhaps tip the balance of this election in a very important way. You know, I was invited to be on Saturday Night Live last night. But we turned it down because we wanted to make sure we got to Idaho in time. We turned it down because we needed to be here with you. We turned it down because I need your vote. I need your support. I need you to leave here and find other people that will support me. I need you to leave here and convince other people that are supporting someone else to support me. It's not because they're bad, but because what we offer, I hope, is exciting and good. But because what we offer is serious yet optimistic. But because what we offer is the chance to win and change the direction of America. And you have been given a chance to do that in this election coming up just 48 hours from now. And so I ask you for your support. I'm asking you, Idaho, for your vote. Because if we do what needs to be done, we are going to leave for our children what Americans always leave their children: the single greatest nation in the history of all of mankind. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tired and bring your shame, bring your guilt and bring your pain. Don't you know that's not your name? You will always be much more to me. And every day I wrestle with the voices that keep telling me I'm not right, but that's alright, 'cause I hear a voice and it calls me every day when others say doubts, bring your fear.